Hello and welcome back. I'm Thomas Boucher and this is part 7 of my small crab walk build. So I think at this point what I'm going to do is start trying to do some of the file work on top of the jaws. I'm pretty happy with kind of how stuff's fitting and working at this point. It does need a little bit more work, but I want to start trying to finish up some of these pieces so I can maybe actually start attaching things. A little bit of file work on the top of the jaws. I may clean it up a little bit more, but it sort of gives you the idea. So now I'm probably going to do a little bit of file work on this cover plate and then also put my touch mark on it. I've kind of proven to myself that these sort of proportions of things work. I did make a few changes to the design because I'm not real happy with the fact that the pins that the jaws rotate around ended up being 1/8 of an inch. I did adjust that as well as something else or a couple other things. So I think I'm pretty much done with it at this point. What I want to do is there's a few parts that I want to sort of blacken up again. The other thing I need to do is make the catch that would be in the lid. I think I'm going to do that, and I'm going to darken up these pieces before I fully rivet everything and assemble the lock together. I'm going to see if I can do it with my MAP gas torch. I'm hoping that'll get hot enough to kind of get the scale on it that I want. So I'm going to take everything apart, address the pieces that I want to darken up. So I'm going to start with this back plate and see if this will do it. Alright, so that seemed to work pretty well on that plate. So next what I'm going to do is I've got a couple patterns that I drew up. So I'm going to glue them down to some material so I can kind of quickly cut them out and fabricate them. I use a glue stick. It's quick to go on, quick to dry, but this is also water soluble, so it makes it really easy to get the paper up off the metal after the fact. So now that I've got those on there, I should be able to cut them out. So now what I'm going to do is file them to the lines. If I had made these before, I would probably have like a pattern that I could trace for this. Now I wouldn't have to go through this process of gluing the paper on. Now that I've got it roughly all kind of shaped up, I'm going to peel off as much of this paper as I can. Like I said, because it's just glue stick, I should be able to put this in my quench bucket, and the glue should just kind of dissolve off there. So now you can see it's wet. If I just rub at it, all this extra paper and glue and crud just comes off of it. I also want to put a little bit of file decoration in this piece here. It's always tricky trying to figure out how to hold stuff. I haven't yet made myself a filing vise. It's something I want to get around to. So for now, what I try to do is back the piece against something like the vise And I hold on to as tight as I can and file, and it does move around a little bit, but it's kind of the best I can come up with until I have a filing vise. I don't know if you can see that detail. So now these two pieces need to be riveted together, and then these pointy parts on the end are going to fold this way. So these little staples that I just bent, I guess the purpose of those is to help register it into the lid of the chest. So my understanding is you put the chest lock into the bottom of the chest, you put the catch into the lock, slam the lid down, and then these will bite into the lid and it'll show you where it goes. So then you can open the lid and attach this, and you'll know that it's going to line up. So the idea is when the chest comes down with the catch, it pushes its way and opens up the lock, and then the lid is caught and it can't open until you open the jaws. So I got everything on the lock kind of darkened up like I wanted. I think at this point I'm going to probably assemble the pieces and make sure it's still functioning after that. So I was really hoping to have finished this lock last night, but after making the catch I realized that I didn't bring the paste wax to the shop. And while the pieces are apart, I wanted to coat them with paste wax to kind of help protect them. And it also helps to kind of lubricate stuff on the inside. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a little chip brush. I'm just going to coat them lightly with some paste wax. And then I'm going to wipe the extra off. But I'm just kind of quickly brushing over everything, give it a good coating. I'm going to do every piece just to kind of protect it. Making sure everything's coated, especially the bearing surfaces. And the last piece I have is the catch. I want to actually darken that up as well like I did the rest of it, so I'm going to do that real quick with the torch. And while that's cooling, I'll go wipe the excess off the lock and start assembling it. So again, I'm just kind of wiping some of the excess wax back off. So I did make the springs for these out of, I believe this was from a leaf spring. Made it a while ago, so I don't remember exactly. So these are tougher than, say, like mild steel. But I don't actually harden these. They flex so little that it really doesn't require much. But I do use something that's a little bit stiffer, so it does have a little bit more strength in it. And you'll see when I put the lock back together that even though that I didn't harden that up, it's still plenty snappy for a spring. The wax gives us like a really nice kind of look to it too, the color on it. It sort of helped darken it up some. It looks really great. If you've ever heard of the 150mm challenge, I ended up making a small crab block for that. You had to use a piece of 3/4 inch square material. I forget how long it was, about 5 inches long or so. You can make whatever you wanted out of that piece of material, but everything had to come out of that bar. And I was just super happy with how the little lock looked. And so I decided I wanted to make some more of them. So that's a little bit of the backstory as to why I decided to make these really small ones. Yeah, let me do the ward box first, just so I can get down to those rivets. So this is some more of that really soft wrapping wire. Real nice and easy to rivet over. In a perfect world, I'd probably put a little head on these first, but I'm just going to go straight to the anvil and rivet them as they are. This can be a challenge, getting these little pieces started. Now that I've got the ward box on, I'm just kind of test fitting everything back together. And you can hear how snappy that spring is, and that's not hardened, heat treated, anything. Now mild steel spring might do that too, but I just like having the extra toughness to that material there. So at this point in the lock, the remaining parts are riveting the spring, riveting the top of the cover plate where it comes through the main plate, and then riveting the rivet that comes through the middle of the cover plate that goes through the 2 tumblers. So taking the cover plate back off, and I'm going to start with riveting the spring on. I'm going to test everything again. So at this point, the last thing I have to do is finish riveting the cover plate through the main plate here. The top of that piece is in line with the top of these jaws, so I can't really rest that on anything. Alright, so I've got a little piece of like a rag to sort of protect my piece a little bit. So I've got this piece going through the jaws to kind of support it. Hopefully I can rivet that. I may need to use like a little punch or something, but I'm going to try it with that first. Yeah, it's working better. Quite happy with that. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.